because the mind identifies
absolutely.
with itself. The mind is identified with the body. It cannot express your maximum potential. So you can just get rid of it. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
And you get rid of it, as you say, it talks to you and you don't believe it. And that's it. And then as you don't believe it, it loses its strength. And that's what happens. And at one point, it loosens its strength so much that it kind of shuts down.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea, just to say, I don't believe you. I'm sorry, I don't believe you. That's a great idea.
Yeah, Muji says a lot about this. He says, tell the mind, no, this is not for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There is another little thing with the mind that as you start observing it more and more, and as you start, you listen to it, but you don't act upon it. And if your intention says, I want to act being in alignment with my spirit, not with my mind, then you see that something really magical happens. The mind will keep bringing up its ideas, but you'll find yourself doing something differently. Like your mind will say, no, you don't have money for this, or no, it's not safe to go there, or no, maybe this person doesn't like you. And then you'll find yourself doing the opposite. And this is the effect of this wonderful intention that says, I am in alignment with my spirit, not with my mind. I am in alignment with my spirit, not with my mind. And then you see how things happen. Yeah, the mind will keep going there for a while. There is another thing really, really interesting that I've discovered, maybe already from the beginning of this year, I would say, is that the mind thinks in language. And because it thinks in language, it's so tiring. Because this language is very limited. It's like at the vibrational level, it's incredibly limited. It cannot express and it cannot translate the highest vibrations. Therefore, whatever comes into this language, it can be only diminished comparing with, with source and comparing with those highest vibrations. So what the mind does, if you really look into it, at one point in the meditation retreats, I was deeply looking into my brain, and I could see how they look like electric impulses of light. And then from those, thoughts start to form. And the thought in its first form, it would be an image or something easier than the whole language thing. But then it goes directly and immediately into language, into a sentence, into a phrase, into so on, and that becomes density. It transforms into something dense, and that density projects further this reality into the image of reality that we perceive through our senses. So that's why thinking, it's so tiring, because it's already language and it's already not the pure vibration. It's a translation, and unfortunately not a good translation of that pure vibration. So there is another thing to do. And that's to turn thinking into language, into thinking in another way. And that might be thinking in images. They showed me a lot, for example, how to use symbols or geometries to visualize certain geometries. Like I would use mantras to stop thinking. For example, I would use a radiant circle and keep my attention on it. And I would visualize it as the whole potential of consciousness, of pure consciousness. So I don't need to think about anything else. And slowly, what I have learned to do and what they have taught me to do in these years is to train the concentration. Because if the concentration is very well trained, then you can stop thinking. And what I have done was to bring my attention in my mind, and I will catch immediately as the thought rises, you know, from that electric impulse, immediately as it rises, and then I will stop it. And I will do this continuously. And at one point, the mind just shifts to another frequency where there are like another dimension where there are no thoughts. And then there is no language anymore. And it seems that, you know, what is really interesting, because it seems that there is still thinking, but not in language. It seems that it happens so fast at such a high frequency that language cannot really translate it. So it's just the vibration that my time sometimes can generate visions and so on, but not language. So who knows, maybe now that I tell you this, maybe somehow your mind will give more attention to itself. And
Yeah, I just said, oh, I'm in trouble.
Something, who knows, something might just switch. I think when we start seeing it in such an objective way, that the mind is actually just thoughts, and thoughts are just vibration put into language, then there is so much detachment from it. And then we can start playing with it, and we can stop it, and then we can, you know, reshape it and reprogram it. And yeah, so give it some, don't go against it, but start playing with it.
Yeah.
And you might have some really nice results there.
Yeah, for sure.
These days, this little thing happened that I got a cold. And as I was laying in the bed with the cold, I asked myself, what's up with this cold and what to do with it? I cannot do anything. And then I told myself, no, I can do a lot. And I started to tell my body, to talk with my body and to say, now the breathing comes easily. Now the nose, it's not stuck anymore. You know, and in just a few seconds, the nose got free again. And then continuing to do like this for a few minutes, all symptoms disappeared. And I was so amazed. Like, for the first time in my life, I could get out all the symptoms of the cold through intention. And then I've realized the power of intention and what it means to have a very clear mind, a good intention, and the right vibration, and it happens immediately. And then I stay there and I play like this for a while. You know, the cold was not there, like the symptoms were not there anymore. And I got out of the bed and I started to do something at the computer. And guess what? After around 15, 20, 30 minutes, the symptoms got back step by step. And I asked myself, why? And I've realized, oh, that's interesting. I was not attentive enough. That's why. And then I went back to the same vibration, and the cold, you know, like the virus came back on that timeline, on that vibration. Yeah, and then I played again with the intentions, and again the symptoms went out. So that was so interesting to do. So interesting.
Wow. Could it be also your words? Like if you said now, so in that now moment that went away, but then they came back. So what if you change the wording to like now and forever, or now and in the future, or now before you make that statement? What do you think about that?
I think consciousness doesn't know time. So when you say it, anyway, it happens for now. It happens in the present moment. I can try it and tell you what happened. It's a good idea, definitely. But I felt that it's because even if the intention was right, the vibration was mostly right. Yes, for the intention to manifest. But then I felt the vibration was not, it decreased a bit because the attention was a bit lost.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the intention didn't manifest anymore. Like I was a bit absorbed in what I was doing on the computer, and then I've lost it just a bit. The same thing happened on Saturday. I went to visit Carol, and Carol now has a cat. And I told myself, okay, I used to be very allergic to cats. But once last year, I was in a taxi and I was going towards my sister and I had a cat. And I told myself, no, I'm not going to be allergic to it. It's just going to be fine. This time I will pet the cat, I will play with it, no allergy. And it happened exactly like that for the first time. So now I was supposed to visit Carol, and on the way I said, no, no allergy. I will be completely fine with the cat. It will be lovely. I love cats. My heart really loves them. And it happened exactly like that. And I stayed at his place 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And then something happened. We said, let's watch a movie. And we started to watch a movie, me with him and his girlfriend and so on. And then during the movie, the allergy appeared. Guess why? Because also my attention diminished. I was not so present anymore. I was not so aware anymore. And the old program came back. You know, and then I had to say, oh, I'm sorry, now I have to leave. So these are such interesting things to play with.
To play with, yes. Yes.
They are so
Yeah.
amazing, and I'm sure that, you know, as you continue to play with them, at one point they get really fast. Like you say, no allergy, and then it stays like this. Like you say, no cold, and then it stays like this. But it's really to get accustomed with this, because the first time when I try to do it with the cold and to say breath goes perfectly fine, I just managed to do it for 2 or 3 seconds. And, you know, like the nostrils got free, but then in a few seconds they got back. But this time I managed to do it for 15, 30 minutes. So that was a big difference there before.
Yeah.
So slowly it gets very, very, very different in this way.
Yeah. Yeah.